whatever you want to say about this, if you want to say nothing, I just feel like I got to say this to you because you're here. And I'm not asking you to go into the story. I'm not talking about the BAFTAs.
BAFTA, I knew it.
But isn't it? I'm not. Well, first of all, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
As we record this, you have gone through one of those marathon press runs that only a few people know about.
Sure.
And this is a point where I would imagine either you're breaking or getting ready for the next thing. But I reached out to you and you said yes, so thank you. I just want to say thank you.
No, happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I start this podcast by giving everybody their flowers. That's how I like to start these things. That is pretty easy to do with you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
When I think of you and your career, and I've known you for a little bit now, but I'm mostly as a fan from the outside, there's two words that come to mind that I think were strengthened during this whole Sinners run: clarity and grace. Do those words mean anything to you as far as connecting to who you are?
What I was going to say to you before, in response to those two words, in response to hearing you say that you associate those two words, phrases with me, the first most important thing I can say to you is whatever words you would use to describe me, or any words that you use that resonate for you when you think about me, is entirely your choice. Given that you've chosen those two words, I will say that yes, those two words make a lot of sense as applied to myself, in as much as I guess as with every other human being on the planet, I try to be as clear as I can, not only in terms of how I articulate for myself, but also in terms of the choices that I make, and certainly in terms of the professional choices that I make. So that's one thing. Yeah. Grace, so that applies to clarity, right? Being clear. As far as grace is concerned, let me just say this. I consider that to be a huge compliment, Kamau. Because we all human beings, we need to exhibit grace, and we need to exhibit grace, we need to extend grace, however and wherever we can. But I would say particularly in the America that we're living in currently, who we all are in relationship to the world at large that we're living in, the ability to receive and to extend grace however and wherever we can, I would say is critical. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. And I guess I don't got to push too hard to talk about the outside world here. So I appreciate you connecting it to the outside world, because I do think that the more grace those of us who understand that things should be different and could be different, a big part of that is grace.
A huge part of that is grace. And you're a parent, I'm a parent, and to the extent that we can try and instill that in our children is a critical part of child raising our kids, particularly in such a challenging set of circumstances, the challenging aspects of the world that we're living in right now.
Yes. Especially raising these black kids.
All day long.
Yep. All day long. Yep. Have those two words always been a part of who you are? Or were you raised with those two words, aware of that the importance of clarity and grace? Is it something that I feel like for most of us, the moment we first saw you on screen in Malcolm X, those two things were quite clear.
Oh, wow.
Like, I think those were and there has not been a moment since then where I thought, oh no, that he was just acting. Like, I was like, that's who he is.
Man, I always have an extra appreciation when anybody mentions Malcolm X and West Indian Archie. for a whole variety of reasons, Kamau. Fundamentally, I'm so incredibly proud of that work, of that film, and my contribution to it. It was a jumping off point for the beginning of my work as a film actor after essentially 10 years of working as a theater actor in New York.
I saw that on your filmography that there was a 10-year gap, and I thought, like, please keep going. I wonder if you went into that going like kind of like an athlete who's like, oh, I need to show up and do this to sort of prove I can be here. Or was it all?
No, that's interesting. That's interesting. So it was not a 10-year gap, and you've actually unintentionally raised something that I want to address, and it's completely unintentional on your part. And that is because you refer to it as a gap. And early on, as I started working as a film actor, after having worked in the theater, early on, somehow on the internet, it started being referred to as a gap, that I had taken a gap. No. No.
Okay.
The way it was phrased and I'm not sure how it is now, IMDb or whatever, because I don't.
You're not on there updating your IMDb.
No, I'm not.
But you don't seem like that guy.
Yeah. I'm not that guy.
No.
But I do recall that relatively early on, and it was the first 4 or 5 years as my film career was taking off, somehow this thing got on the internet. Oh yeah, he was working and then he took a gap, then he took a break. No.
Yeah.
Essentially, I had worked as a theater actor for pretty much the first 10 years of my career as an actor. I was in New York, a New York-based theater actor. And I did a couple of very small things in television. I did a couple of small things in film, but it was Malcolm X, to your point. It was Malcolm X, West Indian Archie in Malcolm X, that was the springboard for me as a film actor.
Yeah.
The clarity and the grace that you referred to as it relates to West Indian Archie or my appearance in Malcolm X, no, it was not a specific decision that I made. I worked in the way that I had worked in the theater, and I kind of modified it for my work in film. And whatever clarity you saw, whatever resonated for you with my work as West Indian Archie, came about as a result of just working in the way that I had always worked. No, not always, but the way that my working ethic had evolved from working in the theater. And I applied that to the work that I did on West Indian Archie. And so whatever clarity that you saw came about as a result of that. As far as grace is concerned, I guess I would say that I feel that audiences have extended grace towards me, in terms of how they have responded to my work as an actor over the years. So that's where, when I speak about my work, that's the context that I kind of define grace in that context.
Well, so I'm happy to hear that you have a special, I don't put the wrong words in your mouth, because I certainly didn't mean to say gap and any sort of like, because I knew you were a theater actor, and so I didn't think you were like not working at all in that time. But your affection or your talk around West Indian Archie. So I don't know if you know, for many years I had a podcast with a friend of mine that was solely focused on the work of Denzel Washington.
I did not know that.
So it was a podcast that the title was, which is awkward to say in front of acclaimed actors like yourself, Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time, period, was the name of the podcast. We named it that because me and my friend Kevin, felt like Denzel, this was back in the, this is like 10 years ago when we had it. And
Wait
we
a
felt
minute, 10 years? As in around 2016?
Yeah.
Not at the beginning of his film career?
No. We didn't
All right.
start it until 2016. And then we sort of, every week we would review a Denzel Washington film.
Question.
Yeah.
No, you finished, and then I have a question.
Okay.
So every week you would review
a Denzel film and bring guests on to talk about his career as a pinpoint to like, we feel like he wasn't getting enough respect.
Yes.
Broadly.
Amen.
And so we sort of wanted to put a tent pole in the sand.
Amen.
But then when Hollywood talked about the greatest actors, they tended to be white guys.
Amen.
Not that those guys aren't good actors, but we just felt like we want to give this dude again his flowers.
Yes.
While he's here. And it was a way for Black actors to come on and talk about the struggles of being a Black actor generally. And we talked about Black Hollywood, but the rallying point was around Denzel Washington's career.
I love that. I did not know you did that.
So obviously, if you're talking about Denzel Washington's career, the movie Malcolm X comes up a lot, and so
absolutely.
And if you're talking about Malcolm X, you don't get too far deep into the conversation about Malcolm X until you come up. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
As far as that. So that's why I've talked a lot about you and that performance. I'm happy to talk to you about it. And I've a little bit, I was like, maybe he doesn't want to talk about it, but you opened the window for me. So I want to
But before we do that, I got to talk about Denzel for a second. Okay.
I'm not going to interrupt that conversation. Yes.
Denzel Washington in the last 3.5 months has done me a huge favor personally, in as much as in the Oscar campaign associated with Sinners, Denzel made the choice to do a one-on-one conversation with me. And whomever it is who's within the sound of my voice or can see me right now, you have to know that Denzel Washington does not do that as a general rule.
No, we talked about in the podcast, like he's a guy who shows up, does the work, goes home.
Right.
And sort of when there's an award to be given, he'll show up and take the award, or
give the award to somebody else.
Yeah, but it's not about the glitz and glamour. It's about the work.
The work.
Yeah.
And so for Denzel to do that for me was and is huge.
For sure.
So that speaks to an aspect of his generosity that he was extending to me in that instance, in that moment, because he understood as a fellow actor, a fellow creative worker inside the institution of Hollywood, he understood how important it might be for me. And he extended himself for me in that instance, which is gargantuan, okay? Just on the respect Richter scale, if you will.
Yes, yeah.
It's way up there.
For sure.
Okay?
For
All right,
sure.
so that's one thing.
Yeah.
As it relates to Denzel's breadth of work as an actor, as a creative force, I really tip my hat to yourself and your colleague for choosing to identify. First of all, identifying that you feel, this cat's not quite getting the flowers he deserves, and I really tip my hat to you in that regard. Secondly, and I didn't hear any of the podcasts that you did, but if you're telling me that each of the podcasts focused on a particular film that Denzel had done, I would then assume that in doing so, you saw the breadth of the work, of his work as an actor.
Yeah.
Now, when one starts to assess Denzel Washington's work as an actor, I think it's very critical to acknowledge that his work as an actor, particularly when he first started into the first 15 years of his career, it was through the lens of his being a movie star.
Yeah.
That's critical because what I saw with Denzel from afar was that he was still electing to do work in which he could show his range as an actor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He wasn't being Denzel Washington as certain movie stars do, and I'm not criticizing that.
No, there's a type of leading man, leading lady who the industry pays to show up and be themselves all the time.
Be that.
Just do the thing that we all want to see.
And that the audiences are paying
and
to
that
come
Hollywood
see.
is built on that. There's no shame in that. It's hard to
do
that.
There is no shame in it.
It's hard to be consistent like that.
But that's not what he did. That's not my perception of what he did.
No.
So I tip my hat to you, and I appreciate that you chose to examine his work as an actor from that standpoint.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Then, too, specifically relating to Malcolm X and West Indian Archie. Denzel and I had gone to school together. We studied at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, albeit that he left after the first year and I stayed an additional year, 2 years. But Malcolm X was to be the first time we were working together professionally, and that was a thrill. Now, I say that all these years after the fact because the enjoyment and the thrill of our working together was nothing that we ever discussed. Oh man, isn't this great? We're working together.
Yeah.
We just did our work.
Yeah.
But absolutely the fact that he and I had been students together was part of the enjoyment. And I remember before Malcolm X was released, he called me and he said, words to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said words to the effect, man, I just came from seeing a screening of the film. This was before the film was released. I just came from seeing a screening of the film. And he said, you're going to be happy, man.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
That's beautiful. That's it. Not you're going to be a star.
No. He said, that actually isn't. That part of it is a quote. He said, "You're going to be happy."
Yeah, that like you showed up and did the work, and it's reflected in the film.
Yeah, and that was. I don't remember how I responded in the specific. You know, I may be saying, "Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man," or something like that.
Yeah.
But seeing the film and retrospectively acknowledging and recognizing the impact not only of the film, but the impact that my contribution to the film made, I have an added appreciation for his having made that call to me.
That he thought enough to, again, you're talking about, he doesn't need to do that.
No.
He can just wait for you to see the film.
That's right.
You can decide on your own if you like it.
That's right.
But the fact that he's generous enough to know, I want you to know, almost to sort of get prepared, be like, you don't have to be worried. It's in there. We got it. You did your thing. Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah.
So then too, and this is absolutely not something that I've ever discussed with Denzel, but it's intriguing to me, and I don't know what your various podcast guests, what their take on this was.
We had a wide range of like a lot of young up and coming Black actors. Actually, we had a director who had just directed a movie about Apollo Creed's son. We had Ryan on after Creed.
Whoa!
But and the day that he was on was the day the story broke that he was directing the Black Panther, and so like there's all these connections.
Kismet, synchronicity.
And I hadn't met him until that point. I lived here. You know, it was just all this stuff. And so to think that so we had a lot of actors who were sort of younger actors who were coming up. We had Spike Lee on at one point to talk, which we talked to. So, but yeah, it was a beautiful thing. And we keep talking about maybe even bring it back in some form because
I wish you would.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm interrupting you, man. I wish you would. And I'll tell you why. I wish you would.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because we as creative workers, throughout the length and the breadth of the industry, we need to hear from each other. We need to be able to commiserate with each other. We need to be able to support, to give our flowers, to, when necessary, to critique each other, as long as it's constructive.
Yes, yes.
Because there's not enough of that for us in this environment. And speaking of Ryan Coogler, my man.
Yeah.
Somebody said, a friend of mine said to me just last night, he said, "You think you'll work with Ryan again?" And I said, "Man, I hope so, man."
I hope so. He's got my number.
He's got my number. But hearing Ryan talk about Malcolm X and talk about West Indian Archie and the fact that his pops took him to see Malcolm X and the impact of the film and the impact that I made on him. And so every time Ryan talks about that, it's really moving to me. But what it points up to me, what it illustrates is the importance, and this is another reason why I want you to restart your podcast, the importance of the continuum, the importance of a continuum for all of us as creative workers, and how we need to hear from each other, how we need to recognize, acknowledge each other on that continuum. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, so next week, and this is not name dropping.
I mean, you can't.
No, it's really not.
I wouldn't experience it that way, yeah.
Next week, I'm going to Los Angeles to present an award to Morgan Freeman.
Whoo!
Listen, let me say this to you. I was invited to do this. I was asked to do this. Now, of course, as soon as my rep sent me the email, the letter, and I said, of course I'll do this.
Yeah.
I don't know Morgan Freeman. Morgan and I've met the man briefly, and I mean briefly.
Yeah.
I was going into a building and he was coming out of a building. Hey, how you doing? Respect. It's literally that.
Yeah.
But that's completely beside the point.
No, for sure.
Because the point is, for me, for me to be gifted the opportunity to present something to Morgan, when I think about that in terms of the continuum that I'm talking about, it's an opportunity for me to publicly extend and give him his flowers, to publicly acknowledge what this man's career has meant to me. And what I mean when I say what his career has meant to me, this is what I mean. Morgan, as a New York-based actor, Morgan was in New York when I was in New York, albeit he was, his career was a little further along.
Sure.
But I know he comes from the theater in New York. Developing into a creative worker who then has a major film career. And what that means to me as a slightly younger person, viewing that, respecting that, feeling that I have an understanding of what it takes to sustain that. And it's nothing but respect, all the way down the line for that achievement, that professional achievement. And now I am gifted an opportunity to present him an award. Of course I'll do it.
Of course.
So, as it relates to you're saying you're thinking about starting your podcast again, I say to you, God, do it. Because when I think about something like this in terms of what the potential is to invigorate further the continuum, it's kind of sort of critical.
I think of it as, you say continuum, I often think of it as like how like and I mean this in the best way, the chain of command, like sort of the fact that we're all connected.
We are all connected.
We're all connected.
We are all connected.
And I think that one thing that America does, especially with Black folks, is break the chain of command.
No question. Oh,
and destroy, in many ways, the Black nucleus, the Black family, the Black neighborhood, the Black downtown, in the Black
infiltrates. It infiltrates. Yeah. There's all this infiltration that disperses and destroys. That's a great point.
And I've talked about how, as a kid growing up, like, because I was interested. Well, this is knowing you. My favorite band was Living Colour. You know,
check you out.
Yeah, so I would go to the.
Check you out.
Yeah. I mean, so I was the Black kid going to see Living Colour, and I often would say there'd be more Black people on stage than out in the crowd.
Yes,
and I would see another Black guy across the room, and me and my Kevin Avery, my co-host of my podcast, talk about this because he was in the same way, where it's almost like, are we best friends or do I hate him? You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know if. Are we cool? We're the only two Black people here, but there's something about how America that I don't know that.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something, because I actually was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say you see another Black person at a rock concert.
Yeah,
most of the audience is white, and there's an immediate identification, but that's not what it was.
Not,
So tell me about that. Tell me about.
There's a way in which, and I went to private schools. My comedy special is called Private School Negro.
Okay.
That I think white supremacy, when you're the one of the few Black people around, whispers in your ear, "You're special."
Absolutely.
And then when you see another Black person,
wait
it's
a
like,
minute.
Only one of us can be special.
Yes. Amen.
And so instead of like,
Amen,
running over to embrace that person.
He's your competition.
He's your, sort of like,
potentially your competition.
Yeah. And me and Kevin, who's the co-host of the podcast, when we met as comics in the Bay Area, and we were in the mainstream clubs a lot, two of the few Black comedians in the mainstream clubs, I had that tension with him. I thought he had it with me. Later, he's like, I didn't have that with you. But I had this like,
wow.
And we've become great friends, whatever. But like, that's
Kamau, that's another reason why you must present a platform.
Yeah.
In this case, your podcast.
Yeah.
You must create a platform where those kinds of things can be deconstructed.
Yes.
We need that for our emotional, our psychological, our cultural, our socio-political health.
Yes.
We all need that.
Yes. Well, I hear you, and it's funny. I didn't think I would tell you that story, but the thing about this podcast is it is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Amen. And now it gives me an addition. God, man, it's giving me an additional perspective on the night we were all at my house. You, Will
from Living Colour, drummer, Will Calhoun,
the drummer for in Living Colour, who's a brilliant musician, a fierce artist, and you were there.
Mm-hmm.
I was there. My wife was there.
Yep. Thank you to your wife, Nashime. She made
me
let me have some food.
We cooked. We ate. Onita was there. Will's friend, Onita.
Yeah.
And Danny.
Danny. Can we say his last name?
We can. Danny Glover.
Danny Glover.
My dude, Danny Glover. And I think, oh God, I hope I'm not making this up. Did my son come in?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. My son, Demiri, who is currently playing professional basketball in Europe, and I'm hugely proud of him.
Oh, wow.
He came in. So talking about, if not a continuum, certainly we're talking about intergenerational. Well, it is a continuum. It was a continuum.
Yeah.
But that kind of, and I remember we had this really wide-ranging conversation that night about a range of things.
Yeah.
So I guess we're agreeing that we all need each other.
Yes. And we all need to know that we're not the only ones thinking about these things, and that people who we may, because I have to say, like, Will texted me that night, and first of all, I'm still I'm still in the place where it blows my mind that Will Calhoun is texting me. Just as a person who used to see him at the concert, and that was him and Vernon and Corey and Doug. Now I'm friends with them to some extent or another. And that Will would text me and go, "Hey, I'm at Delroy's house. Do you want to come over?" And I did everything but turn a table over. I do want to be there.
I really hear you.
And then just because the idea of and I knew you lived in Oakland, which we can talk about that later, just the Oakland of this all. But And people would often say to me, Delroy Lindo lives around here. And I'm like, oh, okay. And people would say to me, like, do you know? No, we don't know each other. Like, it's again, like you and Morgan Freeman.
There's an assumption.
No. And I'm not trying to stalk. I'm not trying to find him. Do you remember the first time we met?
I don't. I don't.
It's a funny story.
Now I want you to tell a story. But what I do recall, the night you came to my house was the first time we kind of...
Yeah, that was the first time we really talked.
But when did we first meet?
So I'd heard you lived around, and I was like, and one day I was walking down the street. I think it was the middle of COVID, and a car pulls up with you and another actor in the car, and you yell out, "Kamau!"
It was Michael T. Williamson.
Yes, it was. And I was like,
was Michael
at the time,
T. Williamson.
It's like a car that pulls up behind me on a street where nobody's on it because it's COVID time.
Yeah.
Or I think it was that, in that area. And I hear I feel the car pull up. I'm like, hey, what's happening here? Then I hear my name. I look over to not having any idea who's going to be, and it's you and Michael T. Williamson.
Yes, I do remember that.
I felt so seen in that moment. These brothers know who I am.
Yeah, but it was brief, but it was random.
Yeah,
random. But you know what, man? Here's the thing. You mentioned your stand-up comedy, and I said to you, I've actually never seen your stand-up comedy. I've never seen your stand-up act. And now I'm thinking about, okay, what's my reference for Kamau Bell? Well, I tell you, man, one of my references is the ACLU the commercials that you would do on MSNBC.
Yep.
And I used to be a huge MSNBC junkie. I was a complete junkie, and I would see you there. And I think on many levels, that kind of sort of was my Kamau Bell reference.
It's funny. It's funny to think that that's yours. That's a lot of people's. Those commercials have been running for years now, and I'm happy. And basically, you tells me that they actually work. Like people donate, and so I'm happy. I'm happy. Like all I did was show up in Oakland to a studio, and I've worked with the ACLU for years. So that's.
So in that regard, and I'm sure you've heard this in the past. There is the fact that there is that very specific ACLU connection housed in the MSNBC universe, which I know that it's now MSN Now.
MS Now.
Yeah, MS Now. But it was housed in that MSNBC, which was a whole environment.
Yes,
it was a whole
perspective, whole sort of belief system.
Yeah. So that said more and more about you. That probably is what prompted me to say, Kamau, like I knew you when I really didn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's funny. My whatever my thing is, people feel like they know me. And I feel okay with that because everything I'm doing, I'm not an actor, so I'm just being myself. So I feel like at least I put the right thing out there.
You did put the right thing out there. Yeah. And here's what it is, as I'm thinking about this now. It's an awareness or an acknowledgement of what you represent. Is that fair?
That's fair. I was about to nod my head. I'm like, no, I'm supposed to say, I'm not supposed to. Yes, I am happy with what I represent to people because I tend to find the people who like me for the right reasons.
Amen.
Which I feel like is like, and Amen. I know people who are famous and people who are who there's a disconnect between who the public thinks they are. Not necessarily that they're a bad person,
but no, a disconnect.
A disconnect, and it sort of like means that when you meet people, they're sort of coming at you for one thing, and you're like, I'm not really that. Where I feel like, no, generally, I'm that thing. I am.
A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, just last night, said to me, and I gotta actually ask him, what do you mean by that, man? But no, what he said was, and again, I'm paraphrasing,
sure.
But we were talking about the campaign that I've just concluded. And he was talking about the fact he feels that whether I got that statue or not, I still won. And he said to me, no, man, your profile, the fact that people got to see you. As me.
Yes.
Huge, he said. And
every talk show appearance you did, every View, Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah.
That we didn't see the guy who hadn't been in front of us like that before.
that's kind of sort of what he said.
Yeah.
And then he said, and this is the part that I want to go back and say, what do you mean by that, man?
Yeah.
He said, and then he said, no, the parts that you've done, the various roles that you've played, don't necessarily reflect this. And I'm saying, well, right, because I'm acting, because I'm playing a character.
Yeah.
And then he said the closest, and again, I'm paraphrasing.
Sure.
He referenced a character, Adrian Bozeman in The Good Fight.
Yeah.
Okay. But his point was, many audiences have never seen you like that. Just the same thing you just said. They've never seen you in those kinds of contexts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would have to, fair.
I mean, I feel like I mean, this is the thing. For people like, Ryan's age and older, I think the breadth of your career and what we've seen adds up to like, when I met you, I was like, yeah, nothing he's doing is surprising me. This seems like the guy. When you sort of judge, even though you're acting, you're not Delta Slim, you're not West Indian Archie, but there's a thing that is consistent through all of those things. That when I met you, I was like, this is exactly what I was. This is not what I was expecting him to be. What I was hoping he would be.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That,
yes,
like the clarity and grace of the work comes through in the human being.
I understand.
So that like, even though I don't think you're gonna like, pull a gun at me like West Indian Archie.
Question.
Yeah.
What about this? This really fascinates the hell out of me, man. What about a cat like Rodney Little in Clockers? Now, I don't know if you've seen Clockers.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So what about a cat like Rodney Little? And I raised that. I raised Rodney in particular because on his face, on the surface, Rodney is nothing like me, right? And I've talked about this, and I've actually written about this, how I approached playing that part, because reading Richard Price's novel, of the same name, Clockers, Rodney is nothing like me, and this is where I think I'll always appreciate Spike, because he saw that in me. He saw, after West Indian Archie and after Woody Carmichael in Crooklyn, he saw me clearly enough to believe that I could play Rodney, a cat who on the surface was so different from how I present. And I remember at the time, when I told people I was doing this film, Clockers, with Spike, people thought, I remember very specifically having a couple of conversations with people who thought I would be playing the Keith David part, the part of the social worker in the project.
Yeah,
the kind of sort of good. Yeah.
The guy who cares. Yeah.
Who cares? He's trying to help these kids. He's trying to help the families, et cetera. Yeah. Spike Lee, man, saw, no, you can do this. And I had to work. At it.
And what do you think about it made you, what was so different about that character? I'm saying, I can say what I think, but what was different? Like, what about that character you feel like, oh, this is different?
That it would be a stretch for me.
Yeah.
A great character. I mean, a great part.
Yeah, meaty.
Just meaty part. Yeah. But it would be a stretch. I would have to stretch myself and challenge myself to bring Rodney to life in a way that would be believable for audiences, where they wouldn't say, "Oh man, I'm not quite believing that, bro."
Yeah.
And I want to say that I'm proud that it worked. And Richard Price, the novelist, the person who had written the novel, said to me, and I hope Richard sees this or hears this, because Richard, when you said to me, he said words to the effect that he had never seen one of his characters brought to life in cinema and on film the way I had done it. Now, my God, What more could I ask for? I mean, I knew Spike was happy.
Yeah, but you'd already worked. You had a relationship with Spike.
I had a relationship with Spike. I knew he was, but Richard saying that, I mean, Rodney had come from his mind, from his imagination.
And he had it, and of course he would have had an idea of,
yes,
he's picturing that person in his head whether he wants to or not.
Yes.
And then you come out from over here. You could be not what he's wanting.
That's right.
See, the funny thing you say that, like, I think that, and this is true often of artists, your audience maybe has is more aware of your skills than you are, maybe.
You think?
Because here's what I would say, because we're going to take it back to West Indian Archie. The thing that makes that character so incredible as an actor, is that some people can play the cool Harlem hips, the crime boss who's like, who's slick and clean and immaculate. Some people can play the older version of West Indian Archie in the apartment, surrounded by filth, who's lost his ability to sort of control his bodily functions and is clearly suffering on many levels.
Yes,
has a hard time speaking. The fact that we as an audience saw you do both of those things in that one role meant we went, oh, this dude can do anything. Like, I mean, I just think that, like,
man, thank you.
That, like, because I remember being in the theater, and like I said, so let's think about the audience of people who were watching that movie. We came for Denzel.
Yeah.
And
no question.
I don't think anybody who wasn't alive for that can understand. Spike Lee marketed that film like a superhero movie.
Oh my God.
Like the X caps.
Yep.
It was like,
Spike's a marketing genius.
Yeah, no, and he marketed it like, and I think Batman was like the first superhero movie that was really marketed. Like, you saw Batman everywhere. Spike Lee like said, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna market this like it's a shoe, like it's a Nike shoe. It was everywhere, X shirts, X caps. So we went. We were all black folks were like
ready.
This was I don't know when it came out, but it felt like a big summer movie. It felt like,
yes. And
so we sit down and opens, and
where were you do you sit in New York?
No, I saw it in Chicago.
Chicago.
I was in Chicago. Yeah,
okay.
It was definitely in Chicago. Yeah.
Okay.
So, like in the Hyde Park is where I saw it, in the south side of Chicago. And so you see it, and you're also, it's so, like, Spike Lee, the Rodney King footage is at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we are in it. Denzel at that point, maybe white Hollywood black people didn't know, but black people were like, that's our guy.
Yep.
Denzel's on the thing. And then you show up and you go toe to toe with him. And at that point, we didn't know who you were.
Shit, I hope so.
You did. And so I was like, who is this dude? Is just, he's not blinking. He's not scared.
I wasn't scared.
Denzel actually looked scared as in character, as Detroit Red at that point. He looked like he was a little bit like, and we're like, if he's scared of him. And so at that point, we were like all on board with you. And then,
oh, nice.
You flip the script, and suddenly it's like, I remember when we see West Indian Archie.
My wife said that happened in the movie theater. My wife said exactly that.
And it wasn't about, they didn't put a lot of makeup. It's not like you had like,
no.
It was just, I heard Spike was surprised that you didn't tell him what you were going to do.
Yes. Yeah, true. All true.
That Spike didn't know what you were going to do.
He didn't know what I was doing.
Do. And so when you come on screen as West Indian Archie, that second, for the flip, where Denzel's now Malcolm X,
yes,
and he goes back to sort of check on everybody, and the camera and the shot cuts you, it's a testament to Spike Lee's filmmaking that he knew how to frame that shot.
Yes.
And we're all like, and we met you like an hour before. It's not like we were and you weren't the main character.
Yes,
and so to me, that moment, we were like, this guy went toe to toe with Denzel. He's acting his butt off, and he's got range that we weren't aware. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That part was so great because it let us know this dude's capable of anything. And so then at that point, everybody in the room, they're like, what's it? Delroy Lindo, write it down. We need to this is our guy. And we've been with you ever since. To connect that to then Sinners, when we see you in Sinners, that's yes, thank you, Ryan, for putting him in this movie.
Right.
It's like we are invested in your success.
Right.
And that it's not about, I like that actor. And that's why I want to say your friend is seeing. Now people are happy to get to know you.
I hear you.
Because they've had this relationship with you on character and on screen. But now we're sort of like, feel like we know the guy whose son called him to tell him that he got the guy who's been married since the dawn of time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which means a lot to us out here.
Yes.
And then a lot of people discover, wait, he lives here in Oakland?
You're right.
Right. So that's the thing that when that I feel like we are so happy for you that like. Now, would I have liked it if you took home a trophy? Yes, I would have.
Sure.
Did I feel a type of way that you didn't take home a trophy? Yes, I did. Did I tweet about it? Maybe I did. Because I felt invested. A lot of us did.
Yes.
But we don't think that had anything to do with you and your performance.
Right.
We understand that's over here. That's a thing. And as a Black folks, we know we have to give you our flowers personally because we can't trust that it's going to come.
Yes.
So,
amen.
I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
There was no question in that. I think I just got excited talking about what I've seen you do and why I don't see you as an actor who I'm excited to sit down and see what you're up to, but I'm not. I don't think we as Black folks we don't sit down and go, can he pull this off? We don't think that.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Can we talk a little bit about the Oakland of it all?
Sure.
As I said, a lot of people discovered you lived in Oakland through this last epic press run.
Yeah.
Obviously, you could live anywhere. Obviously, I'm sure your manager agents and be like, "Hey, why don't you just move down here to L.A. or you can live in New York?" But you've lived in Oakland a long time, and I know you you lived in San Francisco as a kid.
No, I studied at San Francisco. I studied at the American Conservatory Theater.
But you
in San Fran
again. Why
Oakland?
Why Oakland?
When my wife and I, Nashime, we were ready to leave New York, but not leave. Basically, what happened was the winters in New York City of 1995 and 1996, New Yorkers were subjected to multiple major snowstorms. I don't remember now numerically, but it was something like, in 1995, it was like 17 major snowstorms. In 1996, it was something like 20. I mean, it was a huge amount. And we were just up to, I was New Yorked out, man.
You were done, yeah.
So, since I had gone to school out here in the Bay Area in San Francisco, and we had friends out here who lived out here, the Bay Area was, seemed like a doable alternative. I couldn't quite get my head around or my mouth around articulating, I am moving to Los Angeles. LA is not my city.
No, for sure.
And so Oakland was a nice compromise. And at one of the Q&As that we did for Sinners, Raphael Sadiq, the musical, brilliant. Tony. Raphael mentioned that when he comes back here, he is able to recharge. And that really, really, really resonated for me. So Oakland, why Oakland? I'm able to recharge my batteries here. I'm able to live a relatively normal life here. I've always felt, I've known this about myself since my years in New York. I've known this about myself. I never felt that Los Angeles, and this is even as a young actor, I never felt that Los Angeles would be good for me. My sensibility, the sensibility of the city, of that town, I was never convinced it would, no, I knew it would not be a good match. And so living in the Bay Area, I was close enough to LA when I needed to get there, when and if I needed to get there. And thank God, I was fortunate enough that when we did move to Oakland, which was in 1996, November of 1996.
Oh, that's when I moved here in 97.
Oh, check you out.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Yeah, 1996. my film career was just beginning to.
Yeah.
It was on an upward trajectory. So the feeling, I had less, and I also had a dynamic, an incredible agent at the time. And so the feeling that, I need to be in LA if I want to have a film career, I had that feeling less.
Because things were starting
to percolate.
Make their own gravy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I could afford to be here in the Bay Area, in Oakland, and that that my commercial career, my film career would not suffer too much. Now, having said that, have I paid a professional price for living in the Bay Area? Yes, in as much as I can identify 3 jobs that I did not get, one of which I really wanted because I was not in Los Angeles.
Just because you couldn't, hey, come by here real quick
It was a combination of that, just come by real quick, we need to do such as, like right now we need to do, and I wasn't there. But it wasn't only that. There were some other dynamics at play in the situation, but broadly speaking, in the particular instance that I'm referencing, but broadly, I know that there were at least 2 other times when I lost out on jobs because I don't live in Los Angeles. But I use that word advisedly. I lost out. I use that word advisedly, because I believe that what I have gained overall from living here is much more than I have lost, quote unquote. I should also say this, Kamau. I have always maintained a place on the East Coast. I still have a place on we still have a place on the East Coast. So I've always had the latitude and the ability to go back and forth between here in the Bay Area and in my case, the East Coast, New Jersey, just right outside of New York City. So that balance has helped to make
this
Oakland work for me.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna hold it against you that you have a place on the East Coast. I want to be clear. We still claim you here.
No question. Yeah, no question.
But everything you said, it's so strange, and our careers are very different, is everything I would say about Oakland too.
I really hear you.
There are things that I'm never going to be in certain types of things because I'm just not down there.
Yeah.
I'm not at the cool party. I'm not at the opening. I'm not mixing and rubbing shoulders with people down there. Yeah. There's just things I see other people in, like, and I will go, how come I'm not? Oh yeah, that's right. I'm not in that.
Yeah.
But raising 3 daughters up here.
Yes.
Having all these people I've known since '97 up here, feeling like I'm a part of this community, vastly outweighs what I would have gained by moving to LA. And I feel the same way. LA just wouldn't work for me. I always said if I moved to LA, I would be out of the business in a year. Like, I would just be
How about that?
I would be a guy who's like, whatever happened to him? And you'd run into me, and I'd, with my head down, like, oh yeah, no, I got a government job. Yeah.
So listen, here's the other thing I want to speak about very positively for Oakland or the Bay Area, and that is, Oakland. Oakland's got flavor, man.
Yes. That's the other part.
Oakland's got flavor. I mean, don't sleep on it now.
No.
Oakland's got flavor, it's got whatever that is, flavor.
It's got that. It's got whatever this is. It's got a lot of that.
It's got a lot of that.
Yeah.
And
so you're not missing anything.
No,
it's not like,
I don't believe so.
You're not missing. There's nothing you're missing. The business you might, but there's no culture. No,
culturally,
you're not missing culture. You're not missing. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's now look. We could. All right. Let me see. How do I say this?
Things could be better.
Things could.
Always
definitely be better.
Yeah.
And there are some very specific areas that you and I have talked about kind of informally where things could be better. But one could say that probably about any city in any major metropolis in the United States of America. One. And 2, in the final analysis, for instance, my son, now a professional ball player in Europe.
What's his name so people can Google him and see how he's doing?
Delroy Lindo.
Okay.
Delroy Lindo. He went to St. Leo's Middle School.
Mm-hmm.
He went to St. Mary's High School. Would I have wanted, and particularly when I think about the nurturing environment he experienced at St. Leo's. The principal is Ms. Sonia Simmerl, and yes, I did name drop because she's brilliant. That environment that Sonia Simmerl fosters, nurtures, particularly for young black boys at that school, was and is brilliant. Would I have wanted my son to be any other place but there? Absolutely not. And interestingly, in terms of and my son and I were just talking about this last week, the friends that he cultivated, he has a core group of friends that he cultivated between St. Leo's and a couple of friends at St. Mary's High School, college high school. And they're still a tight-knit group.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to observe. It's a beautiful thing to observe. So he was able to cultivate all of that from being here in Oakland.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not necessarily a given that he would have had that had we lived someplace else.
Sure.
So I appreciate, I value, I cherish Oakland for those reasons, from the standpoint that we raised our son here, right? So, look, as you rightfully say, yes, things could be better, but there are a lot of things, very positive things about Oakland, and overall, particularly from the standpoint that I was very clear, as were you, it wouldn't be a good thing for me to be in Los Angeles. Overall, I am completely fine, happy, and comfortable with the fact that we made the decision to live here in Oakland.
Well, thank you. It's my penultimate question, or I'm going to say, and then I have a last question to ask. But this is like, whatever you want to say about this, if you want to say nothing, I just feel like I got to say this to you because you're here. And I'm not asking you to go into the story. I'm not talking about the BAFTAs.
BAFTA, I knew it.
But isn't it? I've already saw you on Fresh Air go, no, thank you. It's not, so you can say, I'm just going to say something to you. And then
you formulate and complete your question, then I will give you the answer. I'll give you the response.
So in the narrow window of being a black person, you and Michael B. Jordan being black people in the world, having a thing happen that many black people see as a type of assault.
Yes.
The way you two brothers just sort of like, and just kept it pushing.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the award for that? Like just that's just grace.
That was grace.
The clear eyes,
I will
clarity.
own that. I will own
and
that.
Grace of like, I don't know if there was a blink. I don't know if there was like, I don't know if there wasn't a like, I don't know if a tremor. I feel like if you'd been on a blood pressure cuff, nothing would have happened. I feel like it would have just like.
Well, my wife says that I adjusted my glasses.
That was her tell. She was
that was her tell.
Uh-oh.
That was her tell.
Yeah.
I adjusted my glasses.
Yeah.
And one of the other, there was a young man who I worked with at Warner Brothers, who I came to know pretty well because we did a lot of these campaign events together. And he said, I don't remember the word or the term that he used. He saw a flinch of some kind, but it was very subtle.
I mean, we're talking about people have to know you to see.
Yes,
they have to be like, maybe your nostrils went, but because it wasn't what I would have felt like I would have done. Like I would have.
But you wouldn't have, and you know why? You wouldn't have, Kamau. Yeah. I don't think anybody in that situation would have reacted any differently than Michael B. and I reacted, because most importantly, we had our jobs to do, which was to read that teleprompter and present the first award of the, because we were the very first award of the evening. We were the very first Now hold on a second. I'm going to answer your question, not
Yeah.
probably in the way that you want me to.
I don't have any expectations,
okay,
sir.
so I would say to you, we had our jobs to do and we did it. And the grace that you reference, and I love what you just did. You said you saw the energy was energetically, it was, but except that happened, this happened in a nanosecond, because for me it was, did I hear what I thought I heard? Oh. And the award for the evening goes to, it was that. And what I will say broadly is I think what I said during that NPR interview and what I've said to a few other journalists who've asked me, the most important outcome of that event, of that unfortunate event, was the support that we received from so many people for the way that we handled it, for the grace that we exhibited in handling that moment. And it was a classic case of, and I did say this, I think on NPR, a classic case of a negative occurrence becoming an extremely positive one for us. And in the final analysis, Mike B. and I, Michael B. Jordan, recipient of the 2026 Academy Award as Best Actor. Kudos to Mike.
Kudos.
Michael B. Jordan and I, we did our jobs. We represented well. We represented ourselves. And I want to say we represented our people.
You did. You did.
And we didn't do it because we said, oh, we are going to do this.
Nope.
We just were in the moment. And that became a hugely positive thing. And that is what I will ultimately receive and claim from that experience.
Well, thank you for engaging with that topic. I certainly know that it's not, and I just want to be clear, I just wanted to I felt like I needed to tell you that from me personally.
Fair.
And thank you for engaging with it. But, and I appreciate you doing it, because I think that, as again, we talk about the chain of command and the continuum and the conversations like this. And now you've demanded I bring back my Denzel Washington podcast, which means you have to be a guest on that.
I will do it.
That's a different. So since you demand it comes back.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it. And the other question, I will say this about a cause, and it's not quite answering your question, but it is.
Yeah.
When I was speaking about Sonia Simrel as an educator and her brilliance, her genius in fostering and nurturing environments for young kids, particularly young Black men, children, that in which they can flourish. My desire, it's not a specific cause, but my desire would be to replicate the Sonia Simrels of the world. And I know that there are educators all over this country already feeding into our Black children. I know that there are. But if I have a desire, it would be to be able to replicate those people, to replicate the Sonia Simrels of the world, such that there is an environment all across this country that is affirming and nurturing for children, for kids of color, for our young African-American young men who can be given a real sense of what their potential, what their potentialities are, that gives them something to shoot for. That's part of what my son gained from being here in Oakland, from specifically going to a school like St. Leo's. That would be what I would desire all across this country for all children, but certainly for young kids of color and specifically for young Black men.
Well, we're going to send this clip to her. I'm sure she's going to be happy to hear you say that.
I would love that.
And thank you.
God bless, man.
Thank you, brother.
God bless you.
All right. So that was actor Delroy Lindo. And let me be clear about something. As amazing as he was in conversation, he was equally, if not more amazing, outside of the conversation. He talked to everybody who worked at that studio who wanted to talk to him. He took pictures. There were people asking for advice. He gave advice. One of the guys who worked there is from Sweden, just like Ludwig Göransson is, the composer on Sinners. And Delroy gave him advice and also said, I'm going to tell Ludwig that I met you. And they made a video. He was amazing. He's an amazing person. And again, at the end of the episode, he mentioned Principal Sonia Simrel as somebody he wanted to support and wanted us to know more about. She is the longtime principal at St. Leo the Great in Oakland. It is a school that serves a predominantly Black community, and she's apparently doing the big work over there. And so I want you to know how you can support her, since he wanted to shout her out. If you go to St. Leo the Great's website, which is STLEOTHEGREAT, STLEOTHEGREAT.org. There's a donate button, and you can throw them a few dollars. Throw them $1. If everybody throws them $1, that's a lot of money. They're doing big work to raise our Black kids and give them the education they need. And Principal Sonia Simrel is right in the middle of it. Let's shock her by having her show up and be like, what? We got donations from a podcast? Let's do this. Is what we're here to do. Again, this podcast is about conversation. It's about connection. It's about intimacy. It's about wearing our hearts on our sleeve. It's about laughing, but it's also about figuring out how to help as the powers that be try to pull us apart. It is easier to tear us apart than to build us back up. So let's start the building us back up process. Anyway, next week we have my friend and my Congresswoman, Latifah Simon. It's another great episode, and it's already up. It's already up right now. We dropped 2 at once, so just go listen to it now. Thank you for listening, watching, taking in the first episode of Who's With Me, W. Kamau Bell. Shout out to the MK Lab here in San Diego, where I'm at right now. Shout out to Skyline Studios in Oakland, where we recorded the episode with Delroy Lindo. Shout out to Rabbit Grin Productions, who's producing this with me and my company, Who Knows Best Productions. Shout out to Malcolm Gladwell's Pushkin's Industries, who's bringing this episode to you right now. Shout out to everybody. Just shout out. Just shout out. Shout out to Chris Dowd from Fishbone letting me have that song. Shout out.